Here we are, and I have with me this afternoon Mr. Stephen Apicella. Apicella. Hopefully, I pronounced that correctly.
You got it.
Okay, finally. I said it wrong a few times on some of the podcasts, so I wanted to make sure today I said it correctly. So, Stephen, welcome, and I'm glad that you're able to join me on Live Talk with Becky Chernek. And I got to tell you, I've known, we met a couple years back, and you definitely wowed me then. And I was so impressed with our conversation about this digital transformation, if you want to call it that, digital life cycle, that I went and I attended Ted Ng's first fixed roundtable in New York. And I was the one that I was like, this is going to be perfect. This is where we need to be. This is exactly the transition from where we need to be from finance to service. And boy, are we talking about bridging the gap. And I tell you, I really felt like this is the way of the future. This is now. I was so excited. And I just wish you were there with me to talk through it all, because there's a lot to talk through. So I have you here, and I'm very grateful of that. And we could talk. And you were, which I didn't realize, you were also the keynote speaker at Digital Dealer, and you probably wowed them as well. So let's go ahead and let's talk about this. Your mantra is, so let's talk all this.
Yeah, first of all, thank you for having me on your show here, Becky. I love the intro, by the way. There's a lot of rock stars there, not the least of which is you, but I saw Ted Ng's on there, and one of my favorite guys, Joe St. John, was on there too. So maybe one day I'll earn a spot on the intro there.
I would love for that to happen. Mr. Joe St. John he's kicked off all my workshops. I was just always.
He is a dynamic, great contributor to our industry, no doubt. I love him.
He knows his stuff, and he relates both with the technology as well as in dealership. So,
and Ted, I'll say the same thing there. I know you were influenced to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. He's making a very valuable contribution where it's needed, which is this whole notion for our industry, something I ask people rhetorically all the time, which is it our industry's mission to only sell a car or also earn a reoccurring customer? And because there's so much thereafter that is very valuable to the dealer from a financial standpoint and from a customer life cycle standpoint, that's really being missed right now. Our industry, with or without cars, is really good at selling something. We're pretty bad at retaining customers thereafter. Statistically, most customers, after they buy a car and they don't like the car buying process, overwhelmingly, most of those customers never return to their dealer thereafter. And that's a massive vacancy that needs to be filled, because that is the very essence that distinguishes a brick and mortar dealer from a 100% online retailer, which is the brick and mortar dealer's unique ability to also locally service their customer. And there's so many other touch points. We talk about F&I, which is, as you know, very dear to me and a cornerstone of our product. Should the experience of owning these F&I products live up to how they're sold? Should it be like jumping through rings of fire, or should it be intuitive for a customer or a service advisor on behalf of a customer to easily access service from whatever products were purchased, even if that's through multiple administrators? And probably the most important thing for the people watching here is, if F&I revenue is that critical to a dealer and to its support community and to the customer, then why today do we leave it up to the micro moment of the F&I menu presentation alone? Our industry, most dealers have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 or more products on their F&I menu, always powered by more than one third-party administrator, but the industry's average for products is below 2. So what happens to those other 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 products that were missed? Right now, overwhelmingly, they're gone forever. And should a customer be able to not only intuitively see all the products they did buy in one single view on their smartphone, even if they're powered by multiple administrators, but by natural and organic extension, should they see all the products that they didn't buy, to give the dealer and the customer a second, third, fourth, fifth natural swing at the plate to get these valuable F&I products in the hands of the customer to enhance their ownership experience. I say, of course, and I think most people do, but overwhelmingly, that's not the way it works in our industry today. It's missed.
Let's do this for a second,
Sure.
if you don't mind. I want to talk first about engaging first with the customer. I think that we have a lot of conversation going on with this digital retailing piece and communicating customers, engaging customers, and then how that whole thing works. And then we kind of drop the ball. So could you
this is a great thing.
It's
the very essence of, our mantra, connect the disconnected, and the very essence of what should the digital relationship between the dealer and customer should be. Should it be just for the one-time acquisition, or should the dealer and their customer be connected throughout their ownership experience together? And the two can happen seamlessly. But right now it doesn't. Again, the reality of what happens right now, even the very valuable addition of digital retailing, which I'm an advocate for. We don't do it, but I applaud the effort. And I don't think digital retailing replaces the in-person contact. I think it connects with people that desire to connect digitally to explore the products they want to buy and find the dealers they want to buy from it. I don't think one replaces the other. I think one enhances the other if it's used correctly. But even with the great advancement of digital retailing, the associated digital experience abruptly ends before the point of sale.
Right.
That's the way it is today. And is that where that valuable digital connection between the dealer and customer should end, or just begin? And again, the latter, everybody would say the latter is true, but that's not what happens. Once it's over, and if you think about it from a consumer's perspective that engage digitally, what does that tell them when the digital experience abruptly ends before the sale? That would tell me the transaction and therefore the relationship is done. You sold me a car, I bought a car, that's it.
I probably shouldn't tell you what my father. Now, my father was a car dealer. He's no longer with us.
Yeah.
And he used to say, contact your customer after delivery, Becky. This is a must. And I won't tell you or maybe I should tell you maybe the analogy that he came up with, which was a bit startling, but it hit home. But he would mention, you're on a date and you go on this date, and then maybe, I don't know, that was different. Anyway, so you go on this date, and then eventually you guys get together, and then the next day he doesn't call you back. How does that make you feel?
What would that tell you? Tells you he's not interested, right? That's it.
Yeah.
The relationship's over.
Right.
And I think everybody knows this. I'm not revealing anything new here. Personal relationships and business relationships are not that different. To honor your dad, to honor my dad, and to honor everybody else who's built this industry that we love, everybody knows business is built on relationships. I believe that. But I also understand that good, long-standing relationships are built on good communication. And there's so much written about this in the personal world. There's a book out there called The Language of Love. If you're not communicating with your significant other, or not communicating in a way they receive, then you're not communicating to them at all. And the same thing for today's dealer, and your dad was a very wise person to say, and I'm sure do that, is after the point of sale, what do you want as a customer in 2022? Do you want a phone solicitation? Do you want a junk mail? Do you want a random text message? Or do you want something else that's more organic and really connected? And what should be communicated after the point of sale? I ask this to dealers a lot when introducing our solution. And a lot of times, if I first ask the question, how do you communicate with your customer after you sell them a vehicle? Most times, Becky, I'm met with awkward silence. They're not sure.
Yeah.
Right? Or we send them a postcard on their birthday. Or, we have somebody try and call them, which today is a phone solicitation by no other term. That's what it is.
Mhm.
And what should you communicate? So when I ask that question to a dealer, what should you communicate after the point of sale? I'll often hear things like, well, maybe an oil change special to get them back in.
Right.
And the first thing I say is, what about, thanks for buying a vehicle from us. Welcome to the family. We're looking forward on being this journey with you. To put a clear stake in the ground that selling you a car wasn't the end of our relationship, but just the beginning. Or what about a service director that introduces the customer to their service drive for the first time and explains and shows how they can uniquely service that customer better than anybody on their ownership journey? Where a lot of times dealers try to jam that into the car sales process as a best practice, which by no other means, I guess, if you got to do it there, you have them captive. But think about a customer who's buying a car. Are they really thinking about servicing it at that exact moment? But should that be communicated to the customer thereafter in a way that's rich and shows them that, hey, here's how we really can, and dealers can. I mean, this is what I love about it. This isn't fakery. This is the selling dealer is the best equipped to service that customer on their ownership journey. Now, if that's the case, why are so many customers defecting after the point of sale? And a lot of that has to do with communication. Again, back to the personal versus business. Becky, stop communicating with your significant other or business partner or clients, and what happens?
It's gonna, yeah.
The relationship falls
Stops.
apart
Yes, it
very,
does.
very, very quickly.
Yes.
Or try to communicate to them in a way that they don't understand or don't appreciate. Phone solicitations and junk mail, whether that's junk email or junk postal mail, or random text messages, even worse, because it is random. Unless the customer has the dealer's contact information on their phone, it's random. Or if they use a text messaging platform and the phone number comes over as 23-09, which is the way it looks to the consumer.
Right.
Is a consumer engaging that or deleting it?
Deleting it.
Right.
If it were me.
Yeah, that's just the reality for consumers. Most consumers view that any of those types of communication minimally as annoying, but many can set probably fraudulent. Go ahead and click on a link. You're probably going to lose your identity if you do. Right. That's the way consumers are conditioned today.
True. Yeah.
But there are more modern ways to communicate to a customer, which are very native to the customer and get much more engagement than those old school tactics. Again, for me, it's not if a dealer's communicating or not alone. It's how they're communicating and what they're communicating that builds the relationship or not.
And so it's
That's part of it.
So it's a matter of that transfer of trust. And when does that happen?
Right during the
engagement.
sales process. So, part of what our application does, it's called Your Dealer Experience. It's white labeled to a dealership because a dealership, let's all wake up as an industry and as a support community. A dealership doesn't want to support or promote somebody else. They want to promote them.
Sure.
And their relationship with their customers. So now they have a tool in the form of dealer-branded app on Android and iOS, iPhone, and on the web, where they can have a engagement platform to not only stay connected to their customer after the point of sale, but give a lot of value to the customer and a reason why come back. And, this is something I've heard for a long time, the term, why buy here? Well, what about why stay here? Like, okay, I bought a car, then what?
Right.
And this often goes through my mind, Becky, when I look at our industry and its pursuit to improve itself. There's a lot of great things that brought the industry to where it's at today. I'm not one of those digital contribution guys that says every analog thing is broken and must be replaced. I don't feel that way. But I do believe there are disconnected from reality parts that the dealer continues to use that can be improved with technology while still maintaining the assets that got them to where they're at today. So again, digital retailing doesn't contemplate shutting the dealer's doors and just engaging online. It's just a new conduit to engage their customer. And digital life cycle doesn't mean to stop in-person engagements with your customer. is to amplify the connection between the dealer and customer that makes those in-person connections that much more valuable.
I think that in of itself right there is huge. We still have dealers who have a hard time with understanding that can do it to having that relationship online to in dealership, let alone from in dealership to that transition to bringing the customer back into that life cycle. I mean, so.
And if I can address this too, Becky, this is something, again, I get a little flustered at. I'm not, a millennial or a Gen Z myself. But when people say that the customer has changed because of the pandemic, now, certain things may have been accelerated because of the pandemic, but the truth is the customer's always changing. You or I could have said that in 2005 or 1995 or 1985. The customer is always changing. The challenge for our industry is if the customer is continually changing and our industry stays status quo, eventually there's a massive gap between what dealers are delivering and customers are expecting based upon their own experiences and how they engage. Mm-hmm. And, one of the best examples of that by far that's irrefutable is Amazon. Today, Amazon is not a millennial topic or a Gen Z topic or a Gen X topic. It's everybody topic, right?
That's right.
Everybody engages Amazon. But Amazon isn't Amazon, and they're certainly not a $1 trillion company because they can digitally sell something one time like digital retailing does. Amazon is Amazon, and they are the titan of retail online because they figured out the desired customer engagement before and after the sale that keeps their customers coming back again and again and again. So if we go back to that rhetorical question, is it the automotive retailing industry's mission to only sell a car or also earn a reoccurring customer? Everybody will say reoccurring customer. The question is that the environment we're creating by the mechanisms we deploy today? And that's what your dealer experience fills that gap, and it picks up that proverbial digital baton where it's abruptly dropped right now before the sale and allows the dealer to pick it up and have all these rich revenue touch points and relationship building experiences that really earns that reoccurring customer thereafter.
So, okay. And this is why I just absolutely adore you. And this is why I wanted to put you in my back pocket when I went to New York. And because this is the future. This is now. This is something that dealers really need to wrap and embrace, the idea of how can we do a better job in bringing customers back and also getting in front of that customer in a way that the customer appreciates. And it's not annoying.
You're a leader for having somebody like me on. If you take a look around, and again, I'll challenge anybody who's watching this right now. If you take a look around at anybody who calls himself a leader or a disruptor or whatever the term is, what you'll see is a lot of people pointing out what's wrong and not very many people delivering to make it right. And I think just pointing out the problem is part of the problem. We have to figure out what is our end game and work backwards from there. And most of these leaders and disruptors that you see that are banging a drum in social media and elsewhere are only talking about customer acquisition. That's it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Is that so? Again, I ask, is that the goal, to acquire a customer and sell them a car? And then that's it. If the mission is the latter, which is to also earn a reoccurring customer, then the challenge is for everybody, actions speak louder than words. Yes. This is our challenge for our industry, that we need to understand what is the real end game, and are we working towards fulfilling that evolution? And again, Becky, you and I have talked about this before. I think car dealers are doing a lot of things right. I think the support community is doing a lot of things right. But I also think there's a lot of disconnected from reality things that are occurring every day. And this is a big part of it, that there's, again, I'm not a guy that likes to quote statistics, even though I have all of them, is it's a lot less expensive to retain a customer than it is to acquire them. Yet every ounce of our energy in our industry is spent on customer acquisition, and there's so little horsepower put into customer experience or customer retention thereafter. And the statistics are what they are. It's sobering. Most people don't like the current car buying process, and most of those customers that do buy a car never return to their selling dealer again. That shouldn't be okay with you or me or anybody else in this industry, and we should be working to resolve that as quickly as possible.
No, I agree, and I've often trained the importance of getting out back in front of that customer. Just because the customer has decided not to take advantage of any of the products doesn't mean no is a no. It may mean no right now, but later on it could be a yes. Are we revisiting with that customer? And at what time are we revisiting? And many aren't. Many aren't doing
The
that.
truth is, regarding F&I specifically, again, every dealership has more than one F&I administrator, and all of them have, if you talk to somebody really old school, they'll say, we present 4 products in the finance office. I've been into a lot of dealerships. It's more like 7, 8, 9, 10 products, whether they're on the forefront of the menu or they're just in the F&I manager's back pocket as a go-to product if everything else fails. And I know it's a best practice thing, and I think it's an appropriate best practice thing for qualifying your customer on where you as the F&I manager should spend the most amount of time on, because the presumption is if you don't get them here, you're probably not going to get them thereafter. And if you put a customer's purchased F&I products in one view on their smartphone, and you give them the pathway to service and the disclosure of what the product includes and what its features and benefits are, and then by natural extension also show them everything they didn't buy and allow them to choose what products are best for them. And again, just like I said earlier, Becky, I'm not saying get rid of the F&I office. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying enhance the impact of these F&I products and the resulting revenue beyond this micro moment that is currently left to in our industry. And again, there are leaders like you that figured out that shouldn't be the only moment, but tell me I'm wrong. For most of the industry, if it's not sold in the F&I environment, an F&I product, it's gone forever.
It really is. They just don't see the benefit in it. And I always saw it as a benefit to work my pay plan. And I work my pay plan. So if there's any service contract penetration involved in my pay plan, which of course it is throughout the USA, I would think for the most stores, you work it and you make it a point that customer takes advantage of a service contract.
And we should see this as an industry, and I think we know it, but we should act on it. Is customers spend more money on their vehicle after they purchase it, new and used, in the first 6 months. We shouldn't be waiting for a service contract or warranty to expire before we solicit them again. Why not show them everything that they can have to protect and enhance their ownership experience right now? And
so you also mentioned, didn't mean to cut you off there, but you also mentioned that you have data to support this, which blew me away. Everything you say to me blows me away. But this one,
well, I'll give you another one in the short amount of time you have. I'll give you another one. So we talked about, why buy here versus why stay here.
That's right.
Well, one thing that every consumer understands is the transaction of a rewards program, whether that's an airline rewards program or Starbucks or Chick-fil-A or whatever it might be, right? And the transaction that's known by the consumer is brilliant for the business. It goes like this, and it's really simple. The more business as a consumer I do with you, the more points I get. The more points I get as a consumer, the more incentive I have to do more business with you. That's brilliant.
Oh, I think so too. I think
It's
so too. But
brilliant, right? But in our auto industry, we're missing it.
well,
Well, here's
here's the
yeah,
thing that surprises me.
yep,
The surprise it does that you have contacted with customers, and customers are saying to you that through your platform
yep.
that no one in the dealership offered these products. And so for me, it is hard for me to understand that, because every customer, I would hope to think, well, not everybody, but I would say a lot are being presented a menu, 100%
Yeah,
of the products.
I think Becky, I'm pretty clear on this. I think you are too. I don't think it's the context of how they're being presented. I don't think the F&I managers are doing a bad job at that. There's certainly great F&I managers out there that do just well. It speaks to the mindset of the customer that's going through that process after the car selection and negotiation and everything that proceeded forward. And so when customers buy service contracts or warranties through our platform, we send them one digital survey with one question that says, why didn't you buy these products when you purchased your car? Overwhelmingly, the answer is, I didn't know it was available. That doesn't translate to it wasn't presented. It just means the customer didn't hear it
There you go.
at
Okay.
that moment.
All right.
And that speaks to the psychology of the customer that's trying to just get through this process. And when I think about, this has been a thing for years in surveys where customers say, you need to shorten the time of the car buying process. It's too long. And when dealers, react to that by shortening the time in F&I, what does that do to F&I products that really are barely disclosed as it is today with an F&I menu? And especially when you've done that kind of survey with the customer and you're spending more energy on certain products and kind of leaving the other ones on the sidelines, but those ones on the sidelines may be exactly what that customer wants to buy. So the question is, do we make F&I a longer process? No, we can't do that. Consumer says it's already too long as it is. But should we leave those F&I products just to that micro moment? And if we extend the runway and say, hey, let's give these products in addition to the F&I menu, let's show everything that's purchased and everything that's yet still available on the customer's smartphone and their view. We call it your choice protection. You choose. We'll show it, we'll disclose it, we'll give you all the tools to buy it. But the best part of that, Becky, is different than anything else that's ever existed before. In the same platform where you can buy it, you can also get service from it. So earlier we talked about the mantra, connect the disconnected. It's a mistake to think that consumers are going to adopt multiple platforms to engage their dealer after the point of sale. You can't have it's just not going to be effective. You can't have a platform that's just for rewards. Right. And another platform that's just for one F&I administrator, and another one that's some kind of communication platform, and think that the customer is going to successfully navigate that. That's a mistake. They're not going to. The magic of your dealer experience, and we've taken all of these features and we've unified it into one dealer customer engagement platform branded to the dealer. And we always say, it's the dealer's customer, and it should always be their relationship. It should never be distracted by anybody. The support community is just that, a support community to help elevate the dealer to have better processes and better products in order at the end of the day to sell more and retain more. And if we're not all doing that, and if we're not all a contributor to that ecosystem, then the question is, should we be a part of it at all? This is the mission for everybody.
Right.
Again, I take a look around, no matter what anybody does in the support community, the end game is always to help the dealer make more money and help retain more customers, whether that's just an internal process to improve customer engagement or the products that are offered or anything by the support community. The end game is help the dealer sell more and help them retain more, of course, in order to sell more. That's the end game.
And it's still communicating the customer way all the way through the entire process, which, I really like the claim processing.
Thank you. If I have a moment, I'd love to talk about that.
Oh, so, absolutely.
Yeah. So it's the cornerstone of our platform. and this is again something self-reflective for our industry. These very valuable, and I want to pay credit where credit's due. These F&I providers that provide these F&I products and their agents are really important to the equation of the dealer making more money. I'm not against them. I'm for them. But the question is, the resulting process is it good enough? So again, primarily these products that are sold in the F&I environment are called service contracts, which by the simplest definition is contracts for service. So should the service experience related to these products matter? And should they be separated from the consumer's point of view or the service drive's point of view when service is needed, and you got to try and figure out which way to go?
Right.
I think not. Again, today, take a look at your current F&I provider, and if their primary mechanism is a 1-800 number, a phone queue with call hold wait times, irregardless of how long the wait on hold is,
Right.
and then manual claim processing, Becky, I would tell the entire industry toe-to-toe that that is no longer best-in-class service.
No.
Neither is an online fill-in-all-the-blanks claim form that only leads to a phone call anyway. Or, one more, even an administrator that's created their own app, and that app only works with them and only works with certain products, from the consumer and dealer's perspective, is disconnected from reality. It's one more divergent thing for the customer or the dealer to engage with, which dealers don't need one more thing to engage with.
No, they don't. They really
don't need one more thing. They need things that simplify the process and improve the engagement with their customer, not making it more difficult. This happens every day. It's sobering. And we must take a look at it if we understand what retention is and customer experiences. Most customers who do buy service contracts or warranties never read that service contract or warranty, and they'll intuitively come back into their selling dealer where it says service drive over the top of the door, unannounced. Service advisor greets them and says, "How can I help you?" Customer says, "Hey, I bought my car here and some protection products. I need service support." Right now, the service advisor is so ill-equipped, it creates what should be a great retention moment and turns it into frustration and strain. Today, a service advisor has to say, "What products did you buy from us? Do you have a copy of your contract? Do you know your agreement number? Do you know who
I don't see you in the system."
Right? So, and the customer the whole time is thinking or saying, "Time out. I bought this stuff from you. Don't you know?"
Right.
That's what's happening every single day. If you ask most service advisors, what do they think about their third-party administrators and their current claim process, you're likely to hear profanity. Mm-hmm. It's just not a good experience for anybody.
Isn't.
And even worse, Becky, those who are providing it, these great companies, and they are great companies, are spending the most amount of money on a process that is the least desirable.
Yep.
It's ridiculous,
It
right?
is.
And it's just not the way it should be. In our platform, a service advisor who's greeted by that customer says, "Hey, I bought my car here. I bought some protection products. I need service support." Says, "No problem." Scans the VIN barcode with a smart device, and we ping all the third-party administrators that are related to that dealership for the service advisor to see what products does that customer have and the path to digital engagement, so that they never have to leave the customer's side and they never have to send their customer to the waiting room for a donut and a free cup of coffee while they figure out what they sold them. And this is, again, sobering. If we really take this seriously about a reoccurring customer, how many times does a service advisor learn about what's being sold in the F&I office for the first time when a customer is standing in front of them requesting service from it? This happens all the time.
All the time.
And that is never going to promote a great experience, a great service moment, and it will never earn retention. The fact that the customer organically came back is not retention. It's whether or not they come back again. And if you have that terrible service moment, what chance do you have of selling them anything else?
Well, it's not only that, but you think about their experience and how they feel about F&I, the finance manager, and they go storming into the F&I manager's office and saying, I bought this service contract from you and they don't have it back in the service department and I can't get my vehicle worked on. And then we find out that the customer did purchase a service contract, service department didn't realize that they purchased the service contract, and it can be quite the headache for both.
I love
everyone,
it.
everyone involved.
A couple of years ago, I shared this with you. A couple of years ago, I made a decision to spend 7 weeks over summer, 7 consecutive weeks in 7 different dealer groups in different parts of the country each week. And every half a day, I switched with another F&I manager or another service writer as an F&I manager or service advisor in training.
Yep.
Just to learn, just to observe, just to immerse myself in this environment. And this experience, in large part, is what has created what is today your dealer experience, our digital engagement platform. When I would see a service advisor a customer came back, right? They're like, hey, I need help. And they're like, what did we sell you? And to see the reaction of the customer, like, what do you mean? You sold this to me. What do you mean? And then again, I say dealers have world-class waiting rooms today because they need them, right? Okay, go sit down while I figure out what we sold you. But then even worse, Becky, because the DMS doesn't have enough rich information to see, you can see that they bought a gap policy or but doesn't have enough rich information to know how to engage service from it. So literally, I would see a service advisor taking his or her time to go pull the deal bag to figure out what the dealer sold the customer and how to engage service from it. How is that still allowed?
It's just,
it doesn't make sense to me.
It's so antiquated.
It's always been the topic, and this is a way to solve it. So
is.
Every dealership has a variable ops and a fixed ops. People talk about this all the time. It's like 2 separate companies operating under one roof.
That's right.
Should there be an organic handoff? Should this feel like one all the way through?
Absolutely.
Or should it feel like disconnected parts?
No, I feel as if it needs to be one journey,
Yep.
One whole journey connected from online to service, for sure.
And the last thing about our platform, which I think solves something which is really important for a dealer today, a lot of technological contributors never contemplate, design, develop, and deploy technology considering anything else. How does it work? What does it need to connect to? This is part of that connect the disconnected. Our adoption is literally just a leadership decision away. The dealer doesn't have to worry about DMS integration. They don't have to worry about changing current processes. This is pure horsepower to improve dealer customer engagement in a way that a customer appreciates and the internal team needs to save the time from all the nonsense that currently occurs so that they can focus on doing their job. It's literally a leadership decision away. And that's what we have to ask ourselves is, are we just trying to sell cars? Or are we also trying to earn reoccurring customers? And actions do speak louder than words.
So here's the thing, in closing,
Yep.
for our dealers that will be watching, we're sharing this on Facebook and LinkedIn, and I can imagine that some will definitely want to contact you. So I added your email for contact, and I got that from, of course, LinkedIn. Is
Yep.
there any other way you would want the dealer to contact you?
It's certainly the email is the easiest path.
Okay.
And we'll make sure that they get supported really quickly. One thing I want to leave in closing, Becky, is I do love our industry. And again, I think there's a lot of things going right. And there are some things that need to be improved. And that's what we're focusing our energy on. When people want to be disruptive or point out the problem, that's the flavor of the moment. We're really focused on delivering solutions that really make a difference.
Yeah.
And I honor somebody who's no longer in my life now, but he once said to me, I love what I do. Every day is Saturday for me. And I'm really blessed to work with a great internal team, great partners, great people like you, great dealers, where for me, every day is Saturday. I really, really, really love what we do. And we're so hyper focused on it. And for me, it's not cliche, it's true. I'm in dealerships every week. We're immersed in it because we're students of it. We can't make a proper contribution without being there right there next to the people that we serve.
And I couldn't agree with you more. So like for me, I do a couple things, remote training. Some people know I do the remote training, but also I think it is important for dealers that want to do that in dealership immersive experience, because again, every day matters, every conversation matters, and really getting involved in each store is different. So what I bring to the table is the fact that I know their culture, what they do and how to customize based off of their store and
so
to get the
important.
results, right?
So
That matter.
important. Yeah.
Every store is different in how you're going to implement even your platform and make it work. It's not a cookie cutter same to all, I would imagine. I would think that you would have to do some specific training to be able to integrate it correctly within or align it to the dealership workflow.
It's really important. And it takes leaders like you, and it takes others that, again, understand what is the real mission. And for me in 2022, Becky, I'm looking forward to engaging with you, and for everybody on this call, the same. We're growing really rapidly. I'm proud of what we've contributed and what we're contributing, but we're just scratching the surface. We're having a lot of fun and we're making a major difference. And I can't wait for 2022. I'm so excited about what's been happening. So for all of the above, count us in. We're looking forward to every step.
Well, I want to thank you again for being here with me on Live Talk with Becky Chernek. And also, you're going to be on my panel with Fixed Ops Roundtable with Ted Ings in March. And I'm very excited about that. I love it.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
So we've got some good stuff to go ahead and share with everyone. So again, guys, thank you very much. And it's been a pleasure today. Thank you.
Happy New Year. See you in 22.
Absolutely. Happy New Year's.